Well, I have a lot of questions, and I was on a conference call with Secretary of State Kerry and Ambassador Rice on Saturday. I expect to have another personal one-on-one conversation with some of our senior military people Friday. I need to understand better exactly what the administration has in mind, what the risks are, both the risk of action and inaction, what the contingency plans are. So I haven't made a final decision. I want to get the information that I need. Having said that, I think there's a great danger if we had no response at all. Mm-hmm. You know, one of the ways I think about this is it's been almost 100 years now that we have done a reasonably good job, with a few notable and appalling exceptions. We have done a reasonably good job bottling up weapons of mass destruction. They're not routinely used, biological or chemical weapons. And they're a unique category because of the scale on which they kill people indiscriminately, and the fact that they are not capable, thanks to of being narrowly targeted the way conventional weapons are. So so they are different.
So that's the reason why now.
Well, that's why they are different, right? The use of these weapons, chemical and biological. And if we did nothing at all, one of my concerns is that we would be sending a message to Iran that they can continue with their nuclear weapons program without worry about any interference in the United States. And a nuclear-armed Iran is a dangerous threat to the United States. Iran is also developing intercontinental ballistic missile capability, which would enable them to deliver weapons. Failure to do anything at all about Assad, I think, sends the wrong message to the North Koreans, who have crude nuclear weapons already and long-range missiles. But I think it also sends the wrong message to innumerable dictators and would-be dictators around the world that I think they will conclude it's a good idea to have a chemical weapon arsenal, and no one will do anything about it if you have it, and even if you use it. So, for a variety of reasons, I think it's important that we have an appropriate response, and I want to work with the administration to see if I can be comfortable with what they have in mind.
What I hear from a lot of people is, why does America have to be the police? Why do we have to take the lead in all of this?
Yeah, I think the answer is we should do so when it's in American national security interest to do so. So there are many very unfortunate conflicts around the world, including many in which civilians are being killed. I don't think it's appropriate for us to get involved routinely in those matters, and in fact we're not involved in most of them. The case of Syria, a government that is now to some degree an extension of the Iranian theocracy that's so hostile to the United States, a government that is beholden to Hezbollah because of the troops that Hezbollah has sent in to fight for Assad. What is Assad? If Assad wins this war and has no repercussions for having used chemical weapons, what does he do when Hezbollah says, now we'd like some of your chemical weapons stockpile? And I mean, I can only imagine the kind of disaster that would be. And I'm not sure how we would stop that. So I think there are some cases where there is a security threat to the United States that requires our involvement. And these they happen case by case, and you've got to carefully consider the circumstances. But that's my main concern, is the security interests of America.
Would you support something? Do you think there's a lot of debate now? Should we do something small, or should we go all in? And people say sometimes, if we do something small, maybe it won't be enough. But if we do too much, the Americans won't really support it.
And so those aren't our only options, right? If we did something that's purely symbolic, that accomplishes nothing. That sends the same message as doing nothing at all, if it's just symbolic. On the other hand, I don't think it's a good idea at all for us to go all in. I don't think we should put troops on the ground by any means. I don't think we should be active combatants in this civil war. But in between those extremes, there are many, many options available to us, and it seems to me that if we're going to do something, we should consider doing something that degrades Assad's military capabilities. The only thing he will notice and care about is if what we have done threatens his hold on power. That's the only thing, frankly, that dictators around the world care about, is their hold on power. And if what we do without risking American lives degrades his ability to hold power, that will send a powerful message.
How do we make sure that the weapons won't end up in the wrong hands? If we do arm some of the rebels, how do we make sure that Al-Qaeda or some of those other groups don't come in and take over power?
It's a valid question. It's a real concern, and it's part of the reason why I think the president's lack of leadership on this is hurting us today. We had a better opportunity 2 years ago when the more reasonable, more secular rebel groups, those who are not at all affiliated with Al-Qaeda or other terrorists, we're in a stronger position, and I and others had urged the president then to provide some support to those guys. They're still there, but this is one of the things I want to ask our intelligence people, our military people, and our diplomatic people: how strong are they? How independent are they of the really bad guys? But I would also go back to the point: we've got a really bad guy there now. We've got a guy who's a grave threat to our allies for the proliferation of chemical weapons. He's demonstrated a willingness to use them against his own people. So there's a really bad guy there now.
People are split. I mean, it's about 50-50, but I think a lot of people would rather not get involved.
I think this is the opportunity and the obligation of the president to clearly define a mission, to spell out unequivocally exactly what we intend to accomplish, how we will accomplish it, what the risks are, and the nature of the limitations. If the president does a good job explaining why this is important for the security of the United States of America and our allies, and if he does a good job making it clear that this is not going to be an open-ended commitment, we're not going to be putting troops on the ground, then I think there would be considerable support. I'm sure there'll be some people who will oppose in any case, but I think there could be reasonably broad support for an appropriate measure.
So as far as you're not quite sure, you'd want to see the language of what exactly he's proposing before you vote yes or no?
Yeah, I need some more context from senior military advisors, some of the diplomatic advisors. I want to understand the risks more fully, more thoroughly, the risks of action and inaction. I want to understand how well the administration is prepared for whatever countermeasures Syria might take, including reprisal attacks. So I've got a lot of questions I need to get to the bottom of. But having said that, I think it would be very dangerous for us not to have any response to this very, very unusual aggression. And also keep in mind, Syria controls the largest stockpile in the world of chemical weapons. It's a very dangerous place.